Rosa Parks was an ordinary woman who changed many lives by refusing to stand for a white man on a segregated Alabama bus. By sitting down, she stood up for black rights and changed thousands of lives. This is the story of Rosa Parks. As a young girl, Rosa could not attend white-only schools, and when she was young, she dreamt of going to one. She always imagined a day where whites and blacks could sit at desks next to each other in the same classrooms. Blacks attending black-only schools received $43 of school supplies per year, while whites received $179, over 4 times more. Throughout her entire life, Rosa Parks dealt with one big problem: segregation. Segregation affected the southern United States for decades. Segregation on buses was a huge part of civil rights. On a typical segregated bus, the first 10 seats from the driver back were reserved for whites, and from the 11th seat to the back were for blacks. If a white man entered the bus and had nowhere to sit, a black man would have to give up his seat and stand. 75% of people who rode the buses daily were black, as they were often poor and had no car. Usually the driver and white people riding the bus would often yell rude and racist remarks at the blacks on the bus. Sometimes the driver would even force them to pay their fare at the front and make them re-enter the bus through the back. When they would step out of the bus to re-enter, the driver would often pull away and leave them on the curb without money and a ride. Later in her life, Rosa joined the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. The NAACP helped blacks living across America get jobs and homes while promoting indiscrimination. Rosa was actually one of the first women to join. On December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks made a decision that would change many lives. After a long day of work, Rosa got on the bus, her usual way of transportation. She sat in the back of the bus, the designated section for blacks. The seats on the bus quickly filled up with people, both black and white. When a white man entered the bus and didn't have a place to sit, the driver asked Rosa to move. But when the driver asked Rosa, Rosa refused. She was tired of all the segregation and she couldn't take it anymore.
Home December 1st, 1955, about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I boarded the bus downtown in Montgomery on Coates Square. As the bus proceeded out of town, on the third stop, the white passengers had filled the front of the bus. When I got on the bus, the rear was filled with colored passengers, and they were beginning to stand. The seat I occupied was the first of the seats where the Negro passengers take as they on this route. The driver noted that the front of the bus was filled with white passengers, and there would be 2 or 3 men standing. He looked back and asked that the seat where I had taken, along with 3 other persons, one in the seat with me and 2 across the aisle, was seated. He demanded the seat that we were occupying. The other passengers very reluctantly gave up their seats, but I refused to do so.
After the driver threatened to call the police on Rosa, Rosa said, "You may do that," and she was arrested. Rosa was bailed out of jail the next day by a close friend. She was fined $10 and paid $4 in court costs, a total of $14. But Rosa's arrest was just the start of the bus boycott. When civil rights activist and member of the NAACP Joanne Robinson heard about Rosa's arrest, she knew exactly what she had to do. Joanne Robinson then started the Montgomery bus boycott, which she hoped would help end bus segregation. She stayed up late the following Thursday night, making 35,000 leaflets advertising the upcoming bus boycott to the Black community of Montgomery. The posters told them to stay off the buses the next Monday. The news about the upcoming bus boycott was also spread through Black churches. After a sermon, the preacher would announce the boycott and advise the Black community to stay off the buses the following Monday. Most Blacks agreed to this, as they were tired of having to sit in the back and sometimes stand for white people. And then, the boycott began. 80 to 90% of Blacks, who usually rode the buses daily, joined the fight against bus segregation. The boycott was only supposed to go on for one Monday, but that Monday turned into days, then weeks, then months. For many Blacks, the bus boycott meant they had no way of transportation. They carpooled if they knew others with cars, or they took taxis. Taxis actually changed their fares to accommodate the thousands of Blacks that stayed off the buses. With all the Blacks not riding the buses daily, the bus lines of Alabama began to fall apart and lose money. Fares were raised 50% as a result. The average loss of the bus lines was 22 cents per mile, and the bus lines would not be able to operate without the money from the Black population of Alabama. For 381 tiring days, 80 to 90% of the Black community stayed off the buses. And 13 months after Rosa's arrest, the Supreme Court ruled segregation on Alabama buses unconstitutional, and everyone sat up front together.
Oh, we shall